Well, thank you so much for joining us as we celebrated the 40th anniversary of Women at LaSalle. To start off, can you just share your name, class year, your current position, roles, and responsibilities?
So my name is Kristin Ward. I am from the class of 1990. I am currently an administrator at Kristin High School East. And actually, my grandfather graduated from LaSalle. I still have the ring. I meant to bring it and I forgot, which is kind of fun. And currently, my brothers and I went here, and my daughters are graduates and a senior at LaSalle. So.
And my name is Dr. Sue Adams. I am a graduate of the class of 1997. So my career has gone a few different ways, but I am by training a clinical psychologist, and my full-time job is as a faculty member at the University of Rhode Island in the Department of Human Development and Family Science, where I'm a professor. I'm also a department chair and a researcher. And then I also co-own the New England Center for Anxiety, which is a mental health clinic in Westerly, North Kingstown, that helps to treat anxiety and other anxiety-related disorders.
Great, thank you both so much. And as a student, when you're here at LaSalle, you were both within the first few classes of women here at LaSalle. Do you have any teachers, programs, classes that really impacted you during your time here?
I really enjoyed the English department. I like to read, so there were many of the teachers that I really enjoyed, particularly Mr. Larkin, who's one of my favorites, but there really wasn't one that I didn't particularly like, just because I liked English. I did like Ms. Starkey, a science teacher. She was one that stood out in my mind. And I did really enjoy Christian service. I actually worked with deaf students, which I don't think they have that opportunity anymore, but it was great. When my daughters were signing up for Christian service, I actually said, I don't know if they go for the Rhode Island School of the Deaf, but you should totally go if they go, because that was great. So those things really have stayed with me, and I really enjoyed them.
Yeah, I have some fond memories of, for whatever reason, just a few female faculty. So Mrs. Romani, Mrs. Starkey as well, Ms. Hayes, Mrs. Murphy. And I think for me, what stands out is the energy and the enthusiasm that they brought to the room. I just remember feeling really engaged. I felt like they were always wanting to be in the classroom and motivate us, and just brought really good energy. And I think for myself, as an educator in the profession now, it's just something that sticks with me, that how you show up in the room is really important, and they did such a nice job of that.
And there were a lot of teachers, I feel like, that came and did that. As I'm thinking about, Mr. Fortin was another one that would come in, and he was super enthusiastic. Mr. and Mrs. McNamara, they were, I could probably go on and on, to be honest with you, and talk about the different people of how, impactful they were, and how they were really engaged with students and really made you feel welcome and wanting to be in class.
Yeah, and education is ingrained in our mission here at LaSalle. Do you think the community and being a student here really encouraged you and pushed you to want to be working in the education field yourself?
So not really so much for me, because I come from a family of educators, but it definitely, the way that the teachers were here and the way the community was built did want to make me replicate that when I was a classroom teacher, and also does make me want to replicate that as a building administrator. So currently I'm at Cranston East. I've been in a variety of positions, but having that sense of community, having families feel welcome and involved, is something that we felt here, and I've been trying to replicate ever since. That comfort level, the engagement, the enthusiasm of the faculty and staff, all of those things that I felt when I was a student here, I want to bring to whatever position I'm in, so that families in the community feel valued. So in the short answer is yes.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm actually from a family of small business owners. So going into with essentially human service was a really different path that I took compared to others. And I think foundationally, I really remember Christian service, and going into my Christian service project was in a preschool, and this idea, even at that point, that I wanted to work with children, I wanted to help children and grow and develop and thrive, and that's exactly where my career has led. And so I think the opportunity to be out in the community, try these different placements, and really serve the community has just been such an integral part of who I am now and what I do.
And so looking at your career now, your time after you graduated from LaSalle, graduated from college, is there any specific milestone that you attribute to the education and the community here at LaSalle?
idea of faith, right? And trusting in the journey that you're on. So there's that expression like man plans and God laughs. Like I think that really kind of accompanies my entire career. I always talk about the fact that when I was offered a job in ESL, I didn't know what it was, but I took it because I needed a job, right? So I was like, yep, I'll do it. And so that idea of having faith in whatever path you're on, it's going to be okay. So whether I was a teacher in Central Falls or whether I was an assistant principal or principal, just kind of being open to the journey and having faith that it's all going to work out in the long run. And in all honesty, it has. So I think that's that idea of faith and having, and having that faith in whatever that path that you're on is the right one is probably something that I take with me.
Yeah, I would say for myself, I think one of the milestones just in terms of my career is I ended up in a tenure track faculty position at a university at the age of 26, which is actually pretty young for that type of job. And I just really think that the academic skills that I received at LaSalle, I always felt prepared for the next step academically. I felt prepared for college, I felt prepared for graduate school, and I felt prepared to enter into the workforce at a point that was a little bit earlier than maybe would have been the norm otherwise. But I think the strong academic rigor of this school, the school does an excellent job of preparing people to be ready.
And I mean, you guys, I know you've been back to campus with your kids being here. I know you mentioned you haven't been back to campus in a little bit. What do you think of when you see all the new developments on campus, the fields of school buildings? Like, what does that inspire you as this institution is growing?
It does. I mean, it definitely adds to the legacy of LaSalle. It frankly looks better sometimes than some of the colleges that I've visited. And I think that it also it allows students to feel a sense of pride, going here, whether it's the theater, which used to be the gym when we were here, or the athletic complex, the softball field that was, I believe, open last year, right? So the expansion, I can remember when the softball team used to play up the street on, like near Evans Field. They used to play all the way up there. So I think it just adds to the legacy. It also adds to the student pride, the community engagement. I mean, I've been lucky enough to come back. I mean, I played games, volleyball games in the old gym, and I played in the new athletic center, and it's definitely, it's been an experience, so.
Yeah, and for me, I didn't play a sport, but I was on the dance club at LaSalle for 4 years, and I think it's amazing to see how the arts have grown here since when I graduated, and I think as a parent myself of children who are almost around the same age as being in high school, just seeing how important the arts are to be a venue for a number of students who might not be taking a sports path, but really are invested in music and art and just have the ability to be able to express themselves in different ways and have an outlet for releasing the stress and the burden and the demands of the everyday.
And I think LaSalle's always done that rather well. Like there's always been, a theater production going on. There was the pep band when I was here. There were dancers. So I mean, I definitely think there's something for everybody. So if you're coming here and you're leaving, you're not doing something right, because you can find a club or an activity or something that is for you here. And if you haven't, you're not looking hard enough. I mean, my kids were a part of the sign language club. There was a baking club. I mean, like you name it, it's here. So if you are looking for something, you definitely will find it. And whether it's athletics or theater or music or academic decathlon, I mean, there's just so many things. WLSA that we're here today for. There's so many different things that you can get involved in if you want.
Yeah, and I mean, as we wrap up this interview and think about the 40th anniversary of women, what is your advice for current generations of women at the school, future generations of women at the school, just really general for all students?
Well, I think in terms of women, like not limiting yourself, allowing yourself to go on a path that maybe might not be forged for you necessarily, but allowing yourself the opportunity to try new things, do different things, because you never know what kind of situation that you might end up in life. I can say, personally, my education is what saved me from a situation that I was in, and the fact that I had a good job and that I was in a good position in terms of my employment. So just definitely don't limit yourself, and be sure that you have multiple options available for you, because you never know what's going to happen.
piece of advice, it's actually a piece of parenting advice that I received at one point, which is try not to spend too much time looking too far into the future or too far into the past, because I think when, you know, there is a certain amount of leap of faith, and I think of myself, and, you know, it sounds like your story as well, that some of the best things that happened in our lives were things that we didn't plan for or even know that we wanted. And so some of that stuff in the future will work itself out. And, you know, I think we want to have goals and we want to be future oriented, but at the same time, we don't want to be so far in the future that we're not living in the present and just enjoying the moment, enjoying our families, enjoying our work, and just bringing our best selves to the day. And I think, you know, similarly with looking too far back, you know, we want to look back and we want to learn from our mistakes and figure out what worked and what we want to do different. But there's a lot of, you know, stuff that you also just have to be able to let go so that you can just be present in the moment and enjoy what you have worked for and what you've created.
Well, thank you both so much. We really look forward